Hello, people of the internet. Welcome to TK is Outlandish. I am Teresa, and there's my husband, Ryan.
Hi, everyone.
If you're returning, thanks for coming back. If you're new, we look at the show Outlander from my perspective, which is as a book reader, and from Ryan's perspective, which is from a non book reader, TV viewing only point of view.
Yep, sounds right to me.
All right, sorry we're so late with getting to this review. We're both very congested. There's just stuff going around. It's been a long week and it's just, life. So, so we're going to be reviewing the season 6 finale, I Am Not Alone, episode 608.
And I tell you what, we start off with a bang. Because, we got all our bases covered with this one. No one will want for anything.
We got adult contents, language, brief nudity,
Always brief, never.
all of it. Yeah. So as soon as we saw that, we were, I shouldn't say excited, but we were.
We knew it would be a good episode, an episode full of content.
Yeah. Adult content and language.
Very mature content. Anyways, so let's move on.
Right. So since the episode jumped back from Jamie and Claire's situation to Bree and Roger, which is kind of like a nice break between the intense scenes and the not so intense scenes. But I like to go, instead of switching back and forth between storylines, I like to just carry through and comment on one storyline and the next storyline. And since I feel Bree and Roger's storyline is more straightforward and less dramatic, let's just hit that one first.
Get it out of the way. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So Bree and Roger are on their way to Edenton. So Roger can start his process of becoming a minister. And they're discussing the revolution and if they should tell Jemmy that he is what he is, a time traveler and whatnot. It was funny because, did you want to say something, Ryan?
Can we call him a time traveler yet? Because the one time he tried time traveling, those stones kicked him right back out.
Yeah, but he had that reaction with the opal or whatever it was, and he made it crack.
He did, but he hasn't time traveled yet. He may have the potential for time traveling.
Now, as I have said, I'm the book reader. The attempt that Roger and Bree and Jemmy have at the end of season 5 never happens in the book. They never have a failed attempt. So, yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess you can call him that or not. I'm not really sure. But so then we have what's the next picture? The most important thing of this storyline, and which kind of concludes the story of whose child is Jemmy, is when he gets lace and gets his hair shaved off. I think he looks really cute with his hair cut off, and they notice a birthmark because of Nevis, I think. And Roger says he has one too, and it's hereditary. And then back then, that was as good as saying like a DNA test. So
yeah, I was really wondering why in the opening scenes they showed like a cut of Stephen Bonnet again. I was like, what does Bonnet have anything to do with this? Like, he is long gone and buried, minus his testicles, which are on a shelf. And like, why is he in this episode? What's going on? And then this all makes sense.
Right. Then the other thing the scene does happen in a book, but it happens before, and it's Jamie and Claire and Brianna and I think Ian's even there. Like the whole family's there when this happens, and they realize he has lice, and they do shave his head. And Claire's the one that that says it's a birthmark and such, her being the doctor. But the one thing that really bothers me, and I think it bothers other people who have read the book, is Jimmy's supposed to have red hair, just like Jamie, just like Brianna. And what bothers me is, okay, I get it. You have to cast twins because of children working in the business. You have to use twins, and maybe you couldn't find redheaded twins. But it's like, if you want to not have people figure, like, not go one way or the other who's Demi's biological father. Well, Stephen Bonnet had blonde hair. And it's like, obviously kids don't have to have the same color hair as their parents. But it's like, it's a TV show and it's a visual thing, so you would think that that kind of would lean like, oh, maybe it is his kid. And then I have read comments from a lot of people online, like, maybe maybe they'll recast Jimmy as older kid and maybe he'll have red hair. And I'm like, well, that would be ridiculous, because so many people complained when William showed up when he was like 12 or 13 or 14 or however old he was supposed to be, and his hair was like redder, and like his hair was not red when he was a child. And I know several children, including myself, my nephew. We had like reddish hair when we were like 1 or 2 years old, and then it changed. I've never met a child that didn't have red hair and later turned red. So I just think it would be ridiculous. So that's actually the only comment that I had about that.
I don't have much to add. I don't have much to add for this one.
I thought it was a heartwarming story. I'm glad that that wrapped up. I have no idea. I'm gonna try not to do spoilers in this episode. We'll see how it goes. I'm not gonna do predictions because I mean I have no idea where season 7's going, and if we do have predictions, we're gonna make a separate video to do that, because who knows how long Outlander is gonna be. We're gonna have to
Stretch this out.
yeah, exactly. All right, so let's get to the action.
Oh yeah, this was an
We
action-packed
up
episode.
we picked up right where we left off last episode. The Brown and the committee of safety came to arrest that murdering witch and put her on trial for the murder of Melba Christie. I really liked seeing Claire. Well, it's funny because Claire was like unsure, but when it came time to like open the gun closet, like, how many guns does Jamie have? There was like 2 gun closets full of guns.
2 gun closets and a gun basement.
Yes, that's right. You
He
can't admit a gun
he
closet
was
in a gun
better
basement.
armed than like doomsday preppers nowadays. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was armed to the hilt, and I can't blame him. I mean, Claire has been telling him that the revolution is coming. Revolution is coming. There's a lot of battles coming. It's going to be crazy. The entire continent has gotten get engulfed in this.
Mm-hmm. And plus, you have the random committee of safety that shows up. You have bears, wolves. You got to hunt for deer. So
That
lots
is,
of
I
guns.
don't know if there was a number of guns that would be inappropriate. You could not have too many guns.
So then this episode, a lot of the stuff overall they changed from the book, as in Melba had been dead longer before the committee of safety showed up. It was a couple months after her death. Lizzie had already had her baby by the time the committee of safety came. But a lot of the details in the show were right out of the book. A lot of the dialogue when Claire shoots the guy when he comes in the back door, and Jamie's like, you can just be moving on. And then when Mr. Richard Brown comes with his white flag "Oh truce," next pick. Yeah, why does Richard Brown always look like he's sucking on a lemon? Is it just me,
Because
or is he, or
he might be a lemon sucker.
he might be, or he's like chewing tobacco or something? His face, I mean, it fits him. He's a sour man, but it's just like, was it like a character choice? Like, I'm just gonna always look like this.
Yeah. So in the TV series, this happened rather quickly after Malva's death, and so the pretext that the Committee of Safety was coming to take her for trial was a believable one. But what you're saying is, in the book, this happened far later. And so that pretext is basically out the window. And it's obvious from the get go that they're after Claire because of
Right.
the Roberts Brown's reasons.
Right. Well, also because, well, I mean, a TV show, of course, you only have 8 episodes or a shorter season. And if you wait too long, like in the book, you're reading along and it's not they forget about Melva. It's just kind of like, what can you do? You don't have, it's like a cold case, there's no CVS, there's no CSI investigation. And of course, news travels and such as that. But like when you have a TV show, it's like if you don't have something happen for a while and something comes up, the audience might be like, "Oh, this again," like. And also, I think that they were waiting because it did Richard Brown mention that it was Alan that told him that told the Brownsville. He did.
No,
I thought he said it was Alan, but I think that they did wait for Roger to be gone. Ian wasn't around, you know. Uh, Ferguson, Marcelly were not in, so I think that they waited for an opportune moment. Um, but with the line when Richard Brown comes with the flag of truce and Jamie shoots at him and he calls him a horse stealing scotcher, like that's straight out of the book. And when they go to sleep, and I was just telling Ryan before we started recording that when Jamie's saying the act of contrition, I'm like, he never finished it. He just, and oh, that's something else that's in the book. When he mentions the fortune teller in France, she like grabs his hand and she says that he's like a cat and he will die 9 times because he has 9 lives. So that's why Jamie's like counting how many times he came close to death.
did Ads? I mean, I know. Remember, Adso made an appearance in the episode. Was Adso around whenever they were talking about the fortune teller?
They did not mention Adso.
Uh,
So no, I forget how the subject came up in the book. I don't think it's at this moment. I think it's another time where Jamie almost dies because it seems to happen quite often. And they did mention the fire finally. That was the other thing they said in the um pretext or whatever of the show. They were like, the obituary says we're gonna die in a fire. Yes. I Thanks for bringing that up again because that's kind of like the thing. Isn't that the thing that everyone's waiting for? I don't know. I didn't forget. Did you forget that they were supposed to die in a fire?
no, every single time I've seen a flame in an episode this season, I'm like, that's the one. It's gonna burn the house down, and then it doesn't end up happening. So, but do you think
So
that they're gonna take that fortune teller thing literally now? Because they made a pretty big deal out of it, explaining the fortune teller, explaining the 9 lives. Do you think like they're gonna make it so that you know he dies 6, 7, 8 times, and then we're hanging on bated breath, waiting for that last ninth live?
it does come up fairly often in the book,
Hmm.
so it might.
And
But I I think it comes up sooner in the book. It might have even come up in book 5. I was trying to quickly read through book 6 again to compare, but because the series the things are out of place, it was hard for me to kind of like skip around. Once again, a 900 plus page book to see what was exactly like in the episode. But so we have the townspeople coming with their torches and Tom Christie comes and offers to go with Jamie and Claire, and Tom Christie is looking rough.
He does. He looks like he's been through the grinder.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I never could truly hate Tom Christie, but I don't know if other people who just watch the show that maybe think he's like, they really don't like him, if they feel bad for him. Now, I felt bad for him, but I never truly hated him in the first place. But I think the actor did a really great job. He just looks completely like lost. Like, I don't even know. I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah. The way he kind of came to their rescue really surprised me, because they've gone back and forth with Tom, over this season. At one point, Claire is asking him for samples of his fecal matter, which he didn't appreciate. And then the next moment, he's defending her whenever people are accusing her of being a witch. And then
Mm-hmm.
he's standing over Malva's dead body and saying, well, who else could it be, other than you? Um, so he's
Mm-hmm.
going back and forth. And yeah, so seeing him come out like this, I mean, it was, yeah, he like doesn't know where he's going. He's a lost soul.
Well, and the other thing that they kind of explain in the book better too is even though the Fisher folk don't like the Frasers and they think Claire's a witch and stuff, they are Scottish and the Browns are strangers. They are not Scottish. So even if that's why I think Karen Crombie or does Jamie say like if something happens to us it'll be you'll have to answer for it on Judgment Day
Yeah.
because they know that the Browns are not their people because even though because as it says in the book like Jamie might be a lecher, he might be a rapist, he might be a papist, his wife might be a witch, but he's Scottish. So and the Browns are not. So so when Tom goes offers to go with them and stay overnight and leave in the morning. Um, I'm sorry, my head hurts so with my allergies. I'm trying to think where I was going with that. Um, I know what I was gonna say. I really thought that they were gonna separate. Oh, I thought they were gonna like grab Claire at the get go, only because I didn't know how much they were gonna have to be able to get to go into detail about them trying to find a judge to try her. There was another scene too where when Claire says it's not going to bode well for I wonder if I should heal his wounds, the guy that she shot, Ezra. um I wonder if I should tend to his wounds because it's not going to look good for us if he dies from infection, which he does. But then it cuts to Tom giving them his dinner. I think they cut out a moment because if you notice, this is from the book, Ezra's filling two bowls. And in the book, he goes to give them their dinner and he spits in Claire's soup and he drops Jamie's soup on the ground. And he says, "Oh, sorry." And then Claire's like, "Never mind, let him rot." And that's why Tom gives her his stew. And I think they cut those couple moments because I was expecting that to happen because if you watch the clip again, and we are gonna do it, but we don't want to worry about like copyright or whatever. But if you see the clip again, like it looks like Claire's about to get up, and then when Tom gives her his dinner, she's looking annoyingly off into the distance. So I think that they did film that and they cut it, you know, timing probably. But is this the clip that we have next?
Yep. You ready to do it? So,
Uh, yeah. So this is okay, Ryan. Ryan thinks this is the moment that Jamie thinks something's up.
Yeah, as okay, yes, as a TV viewer, I'm looking at
Right.
what happens, what Tom, the history of Tom Christie with Claire and Jamie, all the everything I just mentioned a minute ago, and then what's happened in this episode, and what I see in this, what I see in this clip is just Tom is in deep thought about something involving Claire, and I am in pitch darkness now because the power just went out. Cool. I'm gonna keep on talking.
Again.
So that's what I hear about. That's what I hear. That's what I see when in this scene. What do you see in this? Well, you know what? Let's play the clip, and then you can tell me what you see.
Okay.
Claire or Jamie looks at Tom. Tom's looking at Claire. Tom. Jamie. Jamie looks back at Claire.
So what do I see?
Yep. What do you see?
I see Jamie realizing that Tom Christie is in love with his wife. And he's like, oh, but I the look on Tom's face is just like a hopeless love. Like he knows he could never have her. But he just looks like so sad and so like downtrodden. And Claire has absolutely no idea
Huh.
that he has feelings for her. I think that Sam Hewitt is so good. I think they're both really good at just like looks that like even if I didn't read the book, because in the book it does say, like from Jamie's point of view, um, and it said, and then Jamie realized that Tom Christie was in love with his wife. And of course he can't like say that out loud. The actor can't say it out loud. Um, I mean he could, but it would be stupid. And I just think that Sam Hewitt's really good at like the look. It reminds me of the look that Claire had way back in season 3 when Lord John like looks at Jamie and Claire's like, oh, there's something going on here.
You
This
that.
gets, what's
That's
that?
amazing. You can remember that. I don't remember that.
What can I say? I mean, I've seen the episode like probably 6 times at least. So, um, but yeah, this was like I think this was the best um moment of this episode. I do.
Huh.
And I think, but you're a TV viewer only, so you think that he just sees that like something's up, but not necessarily that like he's in love with Claire. I think Jamie realizes it.
I can
So
realizing. I think Jamie realizes whatever Tom is thinking. But I don't know that us as viewers are meant to know that Tom's in love with Claire right now.
well, you know what we could do. So during Outlander, like shortly after this, I'm going to watch the episodes, listening to the official Outlander podcast that has Matthew. I can't think of his last name. Roberts. And Meryl Davis and Tony. I can't remember her last name either. Not Tony. Tony? Yes, Tony Graffia. The writers. Basically gave me, oh hi there. You were there.
Oh,
They were
oh,
back there for a second. um, that give the background stories, and maybe they will say like, and this is the moment that Jamie realizes that Tom's in love with his wife, especially if it's Tony Graffia, who it seems like a sweet lady, but tends to just explain to us what we're watching on screen. And I'm just like, I know how acting works, but what? But if you're not watching it, maybe not everyone, maybe there's people that just listen to it and they do need that visual description. But we watch it and as we listen to it, like almost like a director commentary. So it's like, why are you explaining to me what I'm watching? I understand how acting works, but Anyway, that's my opinion. Um, but yeah, so you can leave Jamie's face up there if you're still in the dark, and I'll just continue talking.
I mean, I'm here. I'm staring at the camera. I just, it's just very dark around me.
So yeah, so just to quickly, I guess, wrap up. They do separate Claire and Jamie. Now them trying to ship him off to Scotland was not in the book, and I honestly cannot remember um how Jamie ends up in Newburn, because in the book they take her to Newburn, which is the capital of North Carolina. I assume one of the reasons maybe they took her to Wilmington instead is because they already had a set built for Wilmington, which would make sense. And it's all kind of like the same general area. So that makes sense. And did you find a flashlight?
No, my tripod has a light on it. It's blinding, absolutely blinding. But it's
Anyway.
we got like a 30 seconds left here. We can. I'll deal with it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's talk.
Okay. All right. Um, we end up with Ian and Chief Bird, and John Quincy Myers, who I'm so sad that we didn't get to see him more, but obviously he'll be in the beginning of season 7, so I'm really looking forward to that. Off to rescue Claire, who's in jail, and Tom Cruise says, "I won't leave you." So, I
I
mean, to me, that's pretty.
I was so excited whenever Ian like just started letting those arrows fly and everything. I was like, yes, let it rain. Yes, make it happen.
Yeah, but Richard Brown must, I mean, they did say, "Do you have my money?" But Richard Brown must have paid a pretty penny to have a captain leave like an official port and meet them on some beach to go to Scotland, because you're not just going to Scotland. You need a reason to go to Scotland. You're not there's no passenger boats at this point. I think like the only passengers are gonna, unless of course you're like part of the military. But even then, like Lord, I think,
Yeah,
yeah, like no, there's not even like passenger, like the passengers are like on military
that
boats. There's
that
no like
yeah.
cruise ships,
So
you
back then,
know.
yeah, back
So,
then, passengers were cargo. There were no dedicated passenger ships back then. Again, except for military, but that doesn't count. It was all we are going to make money by transporting these goods, and you can come along if you want.
and there were incidents at this time, right before this was supposed to be, I think, May of 1776, so like 2 months before the Declaration of Independence. And they would kidnap loyalists in the middle of the night and literally throw them on boats and ship them back to England, um, against their will. So
Yeah.
not unheard of. But we did finally see where they were going on that scene from the opening credits. They are running along the beach and off to rescue Claire. And I'm wondering where they're coming from. I mean, it's obviously somewhere along the coast, but it could be anywhere in the coast of North Carolina. It might even be like Virginia. Could it even be like Virginia? Like, how far away are they, I wonder?
Yeah, I mean that was good. They baited us from the very beginning, from the opening of episode 1
Yeah.
season. They baited
Well,
us.
because
They gave us
it's
that
not in the books.
very last scene of the season.
But unless I forget, there's so the very, very last scene with Jamie and Claire looking over a mountain range.
Oh, in
Is
the
it is it Fraser Ridge? Is it Scotland? That wasn't in the season, unless I missed it, right? I don't remember it being anywhere in the season.
no, it definitely wasn't. Yeah. And again, those dark black mountains remind me of Scotland, just like that scene with the boat in the opening that I like looked at and I was like, that is Scotland. That is for sure Scotland. and it was. And I tell you, I don't know these those mountains in that opening scene. I should have brought the clip back up of it. Looks dark. Looks like those dark mountains of Scotland. So I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know either. It's gonna so I'm gonna do another episode where we talk about some things behind the scenes stuff. There is some casting. There's some scenes of them on a boat, and I said no spoilers, but I don't. But I mean, we'll get into it next time because there's going to be so much to do. I want to do an episode on like what can you do to survive Outlander.
Yep, we got I think all the leaks coming out and the scenes in the back, the behind the scenes stuff. We'll have a lot to talk about, and
And it's
we'll fill the time.
it's kind of hard to like. I don't spend a lot of time online looking for these scenes necessarily because a lot of times when you go online, it's also they also get into like the actors' private lives, and I honestly like kind of don't care about the actors' private lives beyond the fact that they're human beings. I wish them well. I don't care who they're dating. I don't care who they're married to. I don't care. But like you go online and they're like, especially these horrible stupid videos that are like, oh, Sam Heughan said that Katrina Bell's baby was really his. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. It's awful. I'm sorry, I have to yell at my cat.
All good.
We're good.
Okay.
All right, so Ryan, so we'll try to come back sometime next week. It's been a really busy month,
Yeah, I think
so
wait until at least my throat clears up and your throat clears up. Once we get
yeah,
this sickness, we'll record another video with some some predictions and spoilers from the book.
right. And I really appreciate you guys. I think we're up to 45 subscribers now. Last time I had checked, so I appreciate all you guys. And have a nice weekend. And we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.